Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on-demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Good morning. It is now 7:32, and on this rainy morning in Fitchburg, I'm going to call the Bike and Pedestrian Commission meeting to order. My name is Mark Hamilton. I'm the chair of this group, and the first thing I'd like to do is a roll call. And I'm going to start with those of you up on the screen. And on the left, Jim, you're first. Would you?
Good morning.
Okay.
Happy I'm nice and dry. Happy it's nice and dry.
Yeah, we're nice and dry. Alder Maldonado, you're next.
I'm here.
Thank you, Joe. Next, Ms. Jetzer.
I am here.
Okay. Last, Mr. Huselman.
I am here.
Okay, thank you very much for calling in. In the room with me, I have Andy Potts and Steve Arnold. So with that, Phil is out of town, or at a seminar today, and so we're supposed to have someone from the city join us. When they do, we will get them into the meeting. But the first thing I'd like to do is, you got a copy of the last meeting minutes? Did everybody get a chance to look at them? And if so, is there any discussion? And if not, we will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, so moved by Andy and seconded by Jim. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Same
Aye.
sign. Okay. Next, we have public appearances for non-agenda items. And I see nobody on the Zoom screen. We have Mr. Arnold in the room, and are you on agenda items, Steve, or you have non-agenda items you want to talk about? So he wants to talk about agenda items, so I'm going to move on through this. Item 4A on the agenda is an update on our public works progress, and I don't have anybody here from the city. Joe, do you have anything that you're aware of or you could offer to us about bike and ped projects in the city?
No, I don't have any bike and ped project updates.
Okay, all right. Steve has something. I'll let you go ahead. And I'm taking minutes today. I'll do the best I can.
Yeah. If you're not aware, the Cyene Road project has started, and so the Cyene Road is closed except to local traffic, and the Cyene Greenway, as we call it, the side path on the west side of Cyene is closed south of Swan Creek, north of Swan Creek, and so that leads to some very long rides if you need to get to, for example, Post Road.
Yeah, so I found myself that way the other day, and you have to go almost clear down to Lacey as it goes up towards 14. You've got to get over in there. Would it be wise as a commission for us to mark is there a bike detour? I didn't see it out there.
None was marked.
Yeah, I will ask the city to put a bike detour out so folks know where they go, particularly going both ways. More so going south, or north, excuse me. Okay.
Nearest detours are are Lacey and MM,
Right.
or Woods Hollow Road.
I'll ask them to I'll ask Ross to put something up. Steve, did you have anything else on
I
public
just
works?
wanted to bring that up.
Okay. The other one I want to give you guys a heads up on is that I was through this earlier last week. They still do not have the Badger State crossing marked as far as the lights. It's still got black bags over it. And I heard, and again, this is secondhand, I heard from the city that they're waiting on the electrical connection, which MG&E or Alliant, whoever does the work out there, is supposed to do. So I was going to see if Ross knew anything, and if he comes in, I'll ask about it. I don't know if you folks have any other public works issues you want me to have our city staff follow up on?
Those were the two I was thinking of.
Okay. Yeah, well, those are my two.
The council passed easement to allow the electrical connection across the path that runs south of Crescent Crossing. And now MGD has to do that work, and that's the work that's holding it up, is to connect that Crescent Crossing to the intersection.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what the holdup is though.
So Steve, you also signed up to speak on, so we're going to move on down to 4B then, which are public works budget requests, and it was under Ross's name. And I don't have any updates. I know Steve had given an update of Bike Fitchburg, so I'm assuming that's what you'd like to speak on. You want to cover that?
I was only thinking of commenting on it, but I'm eager to hear what Ross said. I did submit a couple of maybe 5 to 7 CIP projects. Both the mayor and Ross looked favorably on them. So they will be in the mayor's draft CIP. These are long-term projects like the connection of the Oregon Rotary Trail to the Badger Trail and the connection of the Village of Oregon to South Saline Road with off-road paths. We need to have them in the CIP so that staff can work on things like grants for feasibility studies. So these are very long-term projects that Bike Fitchburg just wants to get into the CIP so that staff can work on them. That's the gating factor for whether staff can take any attention to some future long-range project. Is it in the CIP or not? So I was pleased that they were willing to consider those projects for staff attention.
I will get for the commission's information, I will get the list of those projects and include them in the minutes. And again, if Ross does call in or join us, I will ask him to, we will go backwards and report on this. The only other one that I had, and I guess I'll ask Joe, is we also have talked a lot about connecting Southdale to over there on MM, and is that one of those, Steve or Joe, that you know about that's gone into the budget? Or is they going to do it as a TID?
Well, it still has to be in there. Joe?
Yep, I'm here. For some reason, it just got a Zoom notification. I'm not sure whether it's been considered in the CIP. I haven't taken a look at the draft CIP yet, and I'm not sure whether it will be a TID item or like a direct budget item. But I can definitely check with the mayor on that.
Okay, if you could go ahead.
I think that
I think it's in, but
the Southdale connection from the Cap City Trail to Ski Lane, according to Ross, is in.
Yeah.
The one
Okay.
up Rimrock Road is, I can't remember whether I submitted that one or not, because I had made a request that that project at Mahoney or Maloney, I always forget which it is, and Rimrock complete the path along Rimrock as part of their project. I don't know if the developer is willing to do that or if the city is asking them to do that, and I can't remember. It's one of the one. I have a couple of lower priority ones that I did not yet submit.
well, as you folks look at that, I'm not sure if you're aware. I think Phil pushed it out to the group, but there are B-cycle stations right there by Rutabaga up Rimrock Road, right down the hill from the Delta Lab. So we'll get everybody the list, and if you've got any feedback, please let me know. If there's nothing else on 4B, I'm going to move into 4C, which is bike audits. And my reason for wanting this on here was that we talked last, as part of the bike and ped plan, as well as the gold report, well, the silver report we got for the Bike League of America, and things we'd gotten from AARP. It talked about doing bike audits around the city, and then letting this commission know, letting our public works folks who work on the roads know, where do we have issues, where do we have problems. And I kind of felt like to be candid, I felt like a committee of one on this. I've done some bike and ped audits and put them together, but I haven't seen anybody else's audits. So I guess I'll ask a question. One is there any interest in getting out and trying to do this? Two, we need to form a repository so we know what's been done and we don't replicate. So I just kind of feel like I haven't heard any more about it, but even the people from MSA asked about it. And I think that's going to be important as we can move forward. So any discussion about this? And it's pedestrian audits too, Jim, as you get going. Yes.
That was going to be my first comment.
It's
I
both.
think it should be bike audits and walk audits.
It is
So
both.
I have done a few of them. I just need to actually get the form completed and submitted. I would say, especially since I did a lot more winter biking this year, was trying to do more winter bike audits. And, the conditions are definitely a lot different. Certain paths that are fine 9 months out of the year become impassable because they're an afterthought, I would say, within maintenance. So I do have them. I just need to actually get them compiled and submitted to Phil.
Okay. Thank you, Andy, for those comments. Jim, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I appreciate, pedestrians being audited there as well. I've done a couple as well. I just need to kind of write them down and get them written up.
Okay.
But I think it's, people walking around these, that's really valuable information as well.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I will resend the, other hands up? Kelly. Oh, 1 second, Kelly. I will send the audit forms out to everybody again. So we are at least all working from the same page. And then in the absence of Phil, you can send them back to me and I'll start collecting them. So go ahead, Kelly.
I am wondering if there is a simpler way to get all the information that we're all noticing, rather than using the regular audit form. If we could have a repository of a picture with the location and date of where there's trouble, because that feels less onerous, and it feels like it would be a nice way for all of it to be collected in one. I don't know if it's a Google form or something. I'm not a tech person, but it feels like it would be a much easier task to just whip out your phone and share that information immediately.
Okay, Steve, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think that mechanism is called Request Tracker, or on the city website, Report a Problem. So the advantage of doing it that way is that it opens a trouble ticket and it gets sent to a city staffer. And so they can respond to it like, that's a county highway, or we don't have the money to do that, or we're going to fix it this spring, or whatever. But I think that is, for that kind of quick hitting thing, that Request Tracker is a good existing tool. Have you tried it, Kelly?
I think Bill has, but I have not. I have a collection of some pictures, and I've just not really done anything with them. That's my issue.
Well, as Steve mentioned, there were some bushes overhanging one of the trails last year that got reported, and Public Works went out and cut them back, and we responded to the person who complained about that. So I've done that myself. There is under concerns, if you go through Public Works, it directs you right to bike and pedestrian concerns. So as he said, those are the ones that can be dealt with immediately as they happen. But I still think we need to come back and decide, do we want to fill these audit forms out? Because it's more than just identifying a problem. It says what's good, that kind of thing. So I want to send them back out to everybody. If we don't use them, it's okay. But I do think we need to get a better handle on this because we kind of dropped the ball as a commission. And I'll take part of that responsibility. Andy, you had your hand up.
But to Kelly's point, is there any reason we couldn't create just take the form and create a Google document? Like, it is kind of a pain to fill that form out.
It is.
It would be
online.
It would be easier if it was online, and while I'm out walking the dogs or doing whatever, I could just write things down.
Form.
That's it.
Yeah.
I will request that. For the record, we asked that last fall, and it didn't occur. But I will re-ask that. I'll still get you all the forms again, at least to look at. So let's come back and do more on this. But I think the key is we need to get out and start doing things. Yes, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm just as guilty about not actually filling out any of the audits, but I've definitely noticed a few issues and items, a few of which I've brought to Alder Maldonado to get the city to check them out, including, and I think you were on the email, Mark, the email chain about the signage from MGenie's work along McKee Road being in the bike lane.
Yes.
Blocking. So those are the sort of things that if I notice them, I'll reach out and try to get them fixed right away. But I guess I haven't thought about actually putting them down on an audit form.
I think we got to find a way in between to get, because we got it fixed when it got raised, if you recall. It was fixed immediately. So again, let's continue to have discussion on this. What is the best way to do it? But I think if you've got picks and you've got issues, let's get those out on the table now so we can deal with them. Andy, the short-term ones. Andy, you had a question.
Again, maybe this isn't on the audit side, more back to the submit a complaint, but it could be either. I know I brought this up a few times, but kind of going back to what we did in the last bike and ped plan where we had just the GIS map and you could just drop a pin somewhere and say, this intersection's a problem. You could include pictures, you could include a description. I know it'll take some work on the city's part to do that, but that seems, we used it as a tool to say, while we're doing the bike and ped plan, help us identify where priority areas are, help us identify challenges, but that seems like it should just be an ongoing thing, that any citizen could just go out and say, I have a problem with this intersection within these 35 square miles in our Fitchburg.
Yeah. All good ideas and good comments. So for the minute taker, what were you calling it's called a request tracker? Or what's the GIS map? I
think GIS could be, it's honestly both. It could be for sort of the concerns, sort of the submit a complaint type issue, but it could also just be a larger planning document. Okay. And that's how we used it in the previous plan. Honestly, when we had the charrette a month ago, 3 weeks ago, where we had the maps and we're putting sticky notes up, it was essentially that, just an online version of it that could just be permanent.
I know we requested that last fall. I will re-request it in the minutes and before our next meeting. In the meantime, if you have pictures and things where you see what I'm going to call immediate safety items, like the bushes that were overgrowing on the trail last summer is an easy example, or an intersection not getting shoveled when it snows, let us know, and we'll get that stuff into the right people. But in the meantime, let's come up with a longer range strategy. Does that make sense, folks?
This is Jim.
Yes, Jim.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to, I think submitting the form to the city is great, but it'd be really nice for those of us on the commission to know what's being submitted and where things have been submitted, so we can kind of keep track of those kind of things. Because, if Kelly's submitting something and I'm submitting the same thing, it'd be really nice to kind of have that information and know it. So rather than just a form going to a city staff member, it'd really, those of us on the commission to kind of know, here's what's been submitted, and both by, fellow commissioners or also by members of the public as well.
Yeah.
So we can say, hey, here's where things are at. Hey, what's being done about this kind of stuff. So, really just a form being sent to a city staff. It'd be nice if we had a way of knowing where things are at as well.
Well, and I think it's a great idea. I'll put that in the follow-up in our minutes. The situation that Ryan mentioned that Ryan mentioned and Joe was involved with. It was a road construction sign that was in the bike lane, wasn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, it was a lane closed sign that was literally in the lane, preventing bicyclists from being able to continue to the intersection. And so you'd have to basically pull into the fast-paced car lane in order to get around the sign, which was not ideal.
So I guess I'd look at that more of an urgent situation but I agree. I will ask them if there's anything gone in. I know I've submitted it a couple times through there, but I personally had to go back and say, was it fixed or gone out and saw if it's fixed. So I think we're all in agreement from what I'm hearing, and I'll try and put this in something we can use. We need a better way of tracking things. And whether you want to call them audits or not audits, we need to be out looking around our community, whether we're on 2 wheels or 2 feet or 1 wheel, whatever wheel you want to ride on, and reporting on this. So if you've got any other feedback on this before I move on, any other comments? Okay, then we will keep moving. The next item on the agenda is a discussion item that came up last March when we had our alders support at the city council to become a commission and restructure to add pedestrian and to get things moving across the city, further improvements in cycling. And one of the things that I told the council when we broke after Andy and I left that night was that I would come back in a year and update the council on what we're doing. And I guess I wanted to discuss with this group, I've kind of discussed this off and on with Alder Maldonado and Phil, but I think it's important that our alders, particularly our new leaders that are coming on board now, we've got a new group of leaders, because we were going to go do this before. I know Joe had talked to Gabriella, and she suggested we wait until they have a new council, is it president or chair, whatever one it is. What's the group's feeling about going back and giving them an update so they know that we're doing something? I mean, we're using our resources here. Number 2, we're using city resources to have these meetings. What does the other groups report, CETA reports to the council. I'm on CETA, and I think we should do this too. So what do the rest of you think about this?
I'd love to spend a Wednesday night here with the committee of the whole.
You're being facetious.
No, I'm
We've been here a few nights. Go ahead, Joe.
So I know I've mentioned this to Mark, but I'll also just mention it to the group for process sake. After each annual set of elections, the council selects a person to become council president, and that person is the person that sets the committee of the whole meetings. So I haven't asked Gabriella or Alder Gearhart if she's intending to run for council president again, but that typically happens, I want to say, like in the second meeting in April. So the first meeting in April is kind of the last meeting for outgoing council members, and then the next one is where committees get decided, committee memberships get decided, and also a president gets selected. So that president is going to work with Chad and with other city staff, with alders, hopefully, to be able to determine which meetings, topics we have. And obviously there's some meetings that are set aside for like specific necessary things that the city needs to do, like give an orientation to alders, talk about the CIP or the budget. But a lot of those meetings are flexible. And I would say we should get that request in as soon as a new president is determined, so that we know like how much time we need and when is the best time for them to be able to slot us in.
Well, maybe
And different council presidents have different approaches. Like some do it sort of on the fly, and some are very planful and like map out the whole year.
Well, again, we've had Gabriella engaged. She says fine, but she said the same thing you said, Joe, as did Chad. Let's get the new president in line. But what we may be able to do is do two birds with one stone. When we go to present the new bike and ped plan, perhaps we can also give a brief update as part of that. And you roll it all together. We just ask for some more time. That may be one approach rather than going twice.
I think that's the best approach. We should ask for an hour and, say like as soon as you can have us.
Okay. Well, I want to get that. If we're going to do that, we've got to get that plan done, and it's supposed to be done in June, around June timeframe. So that would be good there. So okay, I think it's important they know what we're doing. The alders like you that I know, I think they have an idea of what we're doing. You're on the commission, which brings you a different level of understanding too. But I've talked to Gabrielle several times about what we're doing here. So, okay, well that is we're moving very quickly through this agenda. So I'm gonna get you out of here early today, I promise. So if there's nothing else on the council, the next thing I wanted to talk about, and I would like some discussion on, like we had about audits, is walking in Fitchburg. I know we had very good feedback during the vignette. I remember Kelly and I and Jim worked on a lot of areas around walking, ideas and problems to show MSA, kind of like what we were just talking about a while ago. But are there other ideas about walking and getting organized walks through Fitchburg? The Senior Center has walks during the winter at the Boys and Girls Club. I want ways to encourage and also ways to get feedback. We've got the neighborhood areas, but the neighborhood associations, and I know a couple of them that are active. I know the one I live in, Sunset, and nobody wanted to really run it, so there's no neighborhood walks through my area organized. We've also got the hub, but I'm waiting to hear from the city who's going to coordinate all that. And could there be organized walks through there, up through the Arbor Hills neighborhood or the Leopold neighborhood? And I just wanted I want us to be a little bit more proactive on getting things organized. And then we have Jim on our commission as one of our resident experts. What's everybody's thoughts on walking around Fitchburg?
This is Jim. So I love the idea of organizing walks. I think it's a great idea. Before I think we can go to these groups and say, hey, let's organize a walk in your area, we need to figure out if there is a path that they can walk. Because I don't want to organize a walk and have people say, oh yeah, you can walk. You're gonna have to walk on the side of the street, and you're gonna have to walk, So before we can say, hey, there's some good paths for walking, let's figure out, hey, this is a good area. This has lots of sidewalks. This has good area, good intersections. Good places for them to walk. So before we really approach these groups, I think we need to say, what are your paths? Are there good walking paths in your area that, hey, we can organize a 5K walk, or we can organize something like that is a good trail for them to walk, good path for them to walk.
Okay, good idea, Andy.
That's a great suggestion, although I think that rules out my neighborhood. But I think another thought would be, we've got the library here. Would that be an option of working with the library to either do just general walks, since it's a nice central location to start from, but also do like themed walks? Like if you wanted to have something that was more kid focused, working with their youth librarian, if you want to have something that's more like nature, birding focused. I mean, I think you have a lot of activities going on there with different interest groups that you could tailor a walk to. Plus there's a semi-decent pedestrian network around the City Hall campus that I think we could take advantage of.
Well, and go back to Jim's point too, if you look up by the new hub, there's a sidewalk that you can get right to the Cannonball path and go either way without being in the street, other than crossing the street once or twice, and there's marked lanes. So I think we can do that. I like the library idea. I will try and follow up with the hub comments, and I think Jim's comments about before we do anything, we need to determine we have good places. Yes, Steve?
So, so far we've been talking outside the audits about recreational walking, and in the area of transportation walking, I note that the sustainability plan, which I think has passed, has as one of the action items to develop a safe routes to school implementation plan. Likewise, there is a safe routes to parks movement to make sure that especially kids, but everybody can get to parks and, you know, from their neighborhoods. Thinking of Andy's neighborhood, I think about the disconnect between the path that goes south to the Stoner Prairie and Savannah Oak schools from Schumann and the path that goes north into Seminole Glen Park. You know, if I was to do an audit today, that would be the place I would do it. It's controlled by 2 mid-block stop signs, but people have to walk in the street between those 2 places. Yeah, there's no marked crosswalk. So I think that safe routes to school, especially since it's approved city initiative by the council, would be a great place to work on transportation walking. Everybody knows that school drop-off is a nightmare, and that's because parents don't feel like their kids can get to school safely on their own by biking or walking.
So we have transportation walking to get somewhere. I would say that another one is to walk over to Cahill, Maine to go to one of the stores there if you chose to do that, or even to over there by Ollie's, those types of things. So I think that's a good thing, as well as themed walks to do. I like the nature, the birding thing. I know that last year at the park, they organized a walk for the kids from McKee over to the ice cream shop. And again, it wasn't, there were sidewalks all the way, but other than crossing this, you know, at an intersection. So I'd like to see us as we move forward through the rest of the year and as we get this plan done to take a more proactive approach, talk to others, see what folks think. I hope as we get, I want to talk about the plan in a second, but I hope as we get moving on that, we get feedback from our community. Yes, Joe?
Yes. So there is a route that I would suggest. I just don't know how that route would look if the crowd got too big, and that would be doing like a circle loop around Dunn's Marsh. The walk can take between 45 minutes and an hour. If you start at like the Velo Underground, or if you start at that that kind of lookout point over in Seminole. I walk that like very regularly. I just don't know that because it's, you know, most of the walking's on bike trails that I don't know. I'm looking more to folks for feedback on that as to if that is something that would make sense for an organized walk.
I think it's a good idea, Steve.
Yeah, I think that that's a great idea. Those are multi-use paths, even though we call them bike paths because it's easier to say. And I think that an organized walk on that loop would be a great educational opportunity on how to share a path. So if you had a dozen or 2 people say, look, we can walk 2 abreast, but keep to the right, listen for people coming up behind you, respect the other users who may be using the path at different speeds, and then the next time any of those people are out walking, they'll be safer and better path users. So I think it's a terrific idea, and I see the potential conflict, but I think it's an opportunity for learning.
Kelly? Thanks, Joe. Kelly?
I love that idea. One thing I would suggest to make it easier for more people to participate would be to have, I guess maybe to say multiple starting points, because if you start at the Velo Underground, lots of people would not easily be able to get there. The Overlook has a parking area, so some folks could start there. And then folks, you know, if we had some people who were willing to do this for more than one full loop, and then people could get sort of picked up wherever is the best place for them to start it. Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense. I'm thinking about calling this Walks with Alder Joe. And I was thinking the same thing, Kelly. Where are people going to start? Where are they going to park? You know, Joe, maybe we can talk offline about this and just kind of do this. We don't need city resources. We just need some communication. If you're already doing it, I think the other piece tying in was the comments about about nature around there. All those ducks and things that are out there, you know, do we talk about that? But I don't know. Can we, let's take some action on something. And Joe, would you volunteer to kind of think about doing a walk like that?
Yeah.
Maybe in May. I'd say May.
I could have a conversation with Sonia Hackle. She's with the Allied Duns Marsh Neighborhood Association.
Yeah.
I mean, there's you know, kind of annual monthly dinners, and that could maybe be something that could be like a precursor to it. Like, hey, a couple hours early, let's just meet, you know, X place and, you know, walk for an hour to, you know, work up our appetite. I'm down to have that conversation.
If you would go ahead and do that and let me know what you hear, and I can communicate back to the commission, because I'd love to just participate and see how it goes. But I think it's a great idea as a starting point, because right now,
Joe,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
Go ahead. I just said I'd be willing to help organize with this as well.
Okay. So Joe and Jim will, and you're gonna talk to the who are you gonna talk to? Duns Marsh leader.
Sonia Hakel.
Yeah, Sonia, she's on the e-board for the Allied Duns Marsh Neighborhood Association.
No, that's a great idea, and just a place to start. I mean, that's well, why don't we try this and see if we can get something, you know, maybe May timeframe, maybe early June. I think let's figure out enough work to get it done, get it communicated, and see what happens. Yes, Andy.
So I guess not to shoot a hole in your we don't need city resources idea, but thinking about Joe's comment about worrying about conflicts, could we just get some like yard signs printed up that just say like organized walk ahead, just place them out on the, especially if we're doing the loop around Duns Marsh, just kind of put them at the trailheads on either side just to give people a heads up. I mean, I think for a few bucks we could probably just get some yard.
You got your safety hat on. That's a good idea, and I think we could certainly ask that. I think I'll try and put it in. I'm going to try and put the minutes in bullet form so we can track all this. And these are all good points. And anything else about an organized walk? A pilot organized walk. Okay, well,
I'm excited about it.
Well, again, Joe, I twisted your arm, but when you said
it's something that would not take a terrible amount of effort because it could coincide with something already happening.
Well, and it's your district too, so I mean you're covered for. I mean, and Joe's been very helpful last year getting an RRFD at. We got it along Cannonball Crossing, and we learned of that from complaints from people that lived in that neighborhood who used to be my neighbors, as a matter of fact. So anyway, all right, more to come on that, and we'll come back and hear more about it at our main meeting. The next item on the agenda is a council update. Joe, you've pretty much talked quite a bit. Anything else you want to add other than we had elections last night? We've got at least one new alder.
Yes. Sorry, so we have we have one alder stepping down. That's Jim Wheeler, and Michael Adelsa will be in his place. Bill was reelected, Dave Herbst was reelected, and Logan Reichstadt will be in District 3 as one of the 2 alders. So we have 2 new council coming.
So you're just gonna wait out the transition and wait for hear from you how we'll go forward with the other options ideas we talked about with the plan and the presentation. Anything else from the council?
No, I did express to the mayor that I intend to stay on bike commission, or bike and pedestrian commission. So I do plan on staying with y'all.
I think being in the middle of a planning process, it's good to have that. And you've been, as far as chair, I said you've been helpful to our group when we've needed it. And again, we twisted your arm today, so we're paying you back for it. I like the smile on your face about this walk. I think we could do it today in the rain, couldn't we?
Sure, go for it.
All right, I'm going to move ahead. We don't have a staff update to give. Steve Arnold is here. Steve, do you want to give a Bike Fitchburg update? And then I've got one announcement as we get ready to break.
I do. First, a couple of events. Bike Fitchburg will be participating in Celebrate Trails Day. That is a national observance that's coordinated by the Rails to Trails Conservancy, and it takes place on the 4th Saturday of April, which this year is the 26th. We have activity that's similar to the commuter stations that we have on Tuesday mornings in February and June, but we have it Saturday from 10 to 1, and we call it a recreation station. We'll be giving out chilled sparkling water and snacks and bike literature, and it'll be at the Velo Underround, the bicycle roundabout.
My kids loved it last year.
What?
My kids loved it last year.
Good, good. Well, hope to see them again.
That's the 26th, Steve, is that
April
right?
April 26th.
Thank you.
And shortly you'll see signs going up all around the city on our trails, plastic yard signs indicating Celebrating Trails Day is coming up, and we'll have a QR code to the national event map. And if you search Fitchburg, you should be able to find our event. Second event I wanted to point out is that May 16th, which is a Friday, is International Bike to Work Day. Fitchburg will celebrate Bike to Work Day with a Bike to Work with the Mayor event. We will meet at McKee Farms Park at 7 a.m. and there'll be photo opportunities, and we will head out at 7:15 to City Hall. I know that we will have both our Assembly Rep, Randy Udell, and our State Senator, Melissa Radcliffe, along with the Mayor and other local dignitaries. Last year we had 2 television stations.
What's the date?
Friday, May 16th.
May 16th, Friday. That will also, when we get to City Hall, either indoors or outdoors if the weather is good, we will present the bicycle-friendly business plaques to our 5 new awardees from February. And we have 3 new applications in, and we know they're going to be awarded in May. We don't know when in May, so there might be more than 5. So those are 2 events. Harking back to your walking agenda item, Bike Fitchburg has worked on some strategic planning over the winter. We have a new mission. The mission is that Bike Fitchburg makes biking and walking easier, safer, and more fun in Fitchburg, Wisconsin. So walking is now part of our mission, and we will continue to partner with you and the city government and the Chamber of Commerce to promote walking as well as biking. I already mentioned that we have 5 new bicycle-friendly businesses. We are up to 25 of them. I'm going to report to the Bike League that Wheel and Sprocket has closed in Fitchburg, so that will bring our count down to 24. But at 25, we are tied for 6th in the nation. And as I mentioned, we have 3 more applications. If you know of any businesses that you want to nominate to be bicycle recognized, apply for it and be recognized as bicycle-friendly businesses, talk to Mark or me. And then you should both, 2 weeks ago, both the Dane County and the Fitchburg 2025 bicycle maps have come from the printers, and you will be seeing those at outlets around the city, such as Oasis Cafe, Fitchburg Family Pharmacy, City Hall, and so on. So pick up a new bike map. Any questions on Bike Fitchburg's activities?
Okay, Steve, thank you. I'm going to move into the last part to announcements. One is everybody on this call was a part of our MSA planning session a couple of weeks ago, and Brian and Olivia had sent out some of the feedback forms for you to rank and look at. So I was talking to Brian last week, and he said he hadn't heard back from you folks. So if you haven't gotten it done, please do so, because it was due last week. And I thought that was a very informative meeting, and I actually had a lot of fun, as I said, doing the vignette with Kelly and Jim about looking at our city and writing all over the map and everything. And that's what we can do with the stuff for the bikes and walking. That'd be great to point out problems that way in the future. So please get your info in. The next thing I will announce is we met, Steve and I and Andy and Tony Hartman met last week with the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber and Visitor Bureau, about organizing some rides this summer. The first one we're going to work on is a brewery ride. And we're not talking where everybody's going to go and slam down a bunch of beer. We're talking about a recreational ride that would go between the 3 breweries in Fitchburg. They're going to work with us on this. And Steve and I have done something like this before a couple of years ago with the Great Dane, and they're actually a lot of fun. And we'll see who all shows up. We would tentatively identified Saturday, June 6th as that day. So more to come on that. And then I guess that's the next. Yes, Steve?
Yeah, I have an announcement.
Okay, let me finish. One more second. Okay, 2 more seconds. And then our next meeting is going to be May 7th. I'm going to be out of town, so Andy's going to chair it for us. But nevertheless, you 2 folks had announcements. I'll see if anybody else has any. Steve, you're first.
So we've talked about the fact that we have 2 new alders. Both of those individuals are currently serving on the Transportation and Transit Commission. And we have 2 other alders on the Transportation and Transit Commission, Gabriella and Bill. So we will be looking for at least 2 new commissioners for the Transportation and Transit Commission. So I am eager to find people who are interested in walking, biking, and transit to serve, to suggest to the mayor. So if anybody has any suggestions, you can get to me about those.
Okay.
What? You
have one for you.
Good.
Andy, you had your hand up. Kelly, I see your hand. We'll get to you.
I was simply pointing out the Kelly hand.
Okay. Kelly, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on upcoming events. One that Steve did not mention is that on June 14th, there will be a celebration of all things bike-related called Pedalpalooza at MUCC, which has recently been awarded gold status for bike-friendly business. And we are trying to get as many other bike-friendly businesses to come and have a table or somehow make their presence known at that event. And we're trying to work to raise some money for Cycling Without Age and to get good bike racks at our church. And we're also hoping to do a bike giveaway for free bikes for kids, or bikes for kids.
Okay,
So, Ryan, I might want to talk to you about how to do that.
I get that. We also have one more we didn't mention, and I'm looking at Joe as I say that. April 12th? Is that when Dave Herbst is having his bike giveaway? April 12th, Dave Herbst is having a bike giveaway over in the Fountains area. Is that the right date, Joe? It's a Saturday.
If that's something you got written down, it's probably accurate,
Okay.
but
Yes,
I don't have it
yeah.
in front of me.
Yeah,
the 12th
it is the 12th.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. I forgot. You live over there too. Thank you. Yeah, so I know that they were looking for some volunteers, but I think
I will be over there, Mark.
Okay.
I will be at the giveaway doing tune-ups and, adjusting bikes for the kids.
Right. I'll be over there too, and I know that a gentleman named Mike Grady, who's a licensed educator, is going to be doing a safety skills course there as well. So it was a neat thing. I know they gave away about 150 bikes last time they did this, so we'll see you over there if you're free. I think anytime you hear of these events, commission members, and you're free, feel free to attend. They're not by invite only, so feel free to go. So there's a lot going on as we move into spring, and I don't have anything else to announce. Any of the rest of you have anything for the good of the group?
Just one more piece on the proposed walk. So the ask that I'm going to make is that it coincide with the May Allied Duns Marsh community meal, and that is scheduled for May 9th.
Okay.
And those meals usually are around 5:30. So what I'm going to propose to Sonia is like maybe a 4 o'clock walk or something like that on May 9th. So if folks could just tentatively put that in your calendar, I'm going to send out an email now and CC the folks that were interested.
Right.
That's a Friday?
Correct.
Yeah. Great. And like I said, I think anybody that can participate is fine. I also, one last thing for the commission. I don't know if I sent this to all of you, but with our new B-cycle owners, they're going to offer unicycles as part of the B-cycles this year. Did you folks see this? It was an April Fool's joke, but it had a big announcement, and it said B-cycle offering unicycles to take into the grocery stores and to ride to the wherever you're going. And they had a unicycle in a locked cage. I had to look at it 3 times before I realized what it was. But if you get a chance,
there are people that ride unicycles in Fitchburg. I've seen it.
Well, I sent it to Steve and asked him if he was going to do it. So, but anyway, I looked at it and I realized, well, there's no tire on the thing to begin with. So anyway, with that stupid joke, I thank all of you for your good feedback today. I will do the minutes and get them out. Andy will coordinate the next meeting. We will have an MSA meeting coming up, and we'll follow up on all these assignments that we got today. So with that, I'm letting you out of here 36 minutes early, and we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So
Moved by Andy. Is there a second? Seconded by Joe. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. All right, we'll turn this off, and thank you very much for your time and attention and your input and feedback. So, all right, have a good day.